Welcome back, listeners. This is Victoria Day with Women's Issues, Women's Voices, and you are listening to 89.5 KOPN Columbia. It's not just radio, it's community radio. And tonight's Women's Issues, Women's Voices participant, my interviewee, yes, is definitely community. I am speaking with Lisa Gegor, who is the president of the Missouri Dance Organization
Mhm.
and who has been actively involved with educating and supporting the dance arts in Central Missouri for, we said, many, many years.
Many, 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 many.
And so we've been talking a little bit more personal, but now we're gonna widen it. So Lisa, tell me about what you see as like the challenges and the values of dance education to girls and to women, uh, like for you personally, how you've seen it socially, how you view it professionally, like values and challenges.
Values and challenges. Well,
Because
I
we've
think the
established in the
value,
first half that it's been there. It's there. Even in small town Missouri,
yes,
it's been there for
yeah,
50 years at least,
yes,
right?
absolutely, and even longer. I think the values of dance are really underrated because I feel like sometimes, a spoonful of medicine helps. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down,
Mhm.
and dance is the sugar, and so we kind
Mm,
of overlook it, and so the values are just phenomenal. You, as a personal testimony, I have seen young people come into the dance class all hunched over. They don't want to be looked at, they don't want to be seen. And by a year, they're standing in, and they've actually given me some ideas to think about in my modern class. And I'm like,
they've
where did that come from?
they found their
So
they found their core flow.
they've
Yeah.
found, and then they are able to look at it from a different perspective. And so, and it's not to say that you're training dancers to become, again, you're a dancer, and that's using a very limited definition of what a dancer is. So then these young students
So let
who
me slow
are,
you down there. So am I hearing you say that like when you think of dance education, for you there is a part of it that it's teaching the steps, it's teaching the choreography, it's teaching the technique
yes,
and what is that and?
the and is just self-confidence,
Mm,
being able to perform these tasks at hand with confidence and with a posture that promotes positivity and
sense of
energy.
self. Yep.
Yeah, positive energy, because that can also go into your everyday life, whether you're standing in a business meeting, you're in a committee meeting, you have to do some social, some public speaking.
Mhm.
That whole concept that you've learned in a dance class, whatever
To be
that is,
present.
to be present in the moment, know how you're standing, know how you're presenting yourself. And dance is also just the manipulation of energy.
Mm.
So if you're going to present a speech, well,
Hmm.
you
Right.
can't be lackadaisical in the
Right.
energy.
Yeah.
And then it's, what do you do with that energy? You have to manipulate the energy so you are positively presenting what you're saying with your body as
So
well as your voice.
listeners, Lisa and I've learned how to do this because I've been on the radio long enough, but Lisa just did the thing that I love. So her voice changed and and I don't know if you could hear it, but I'm just gonna point it out. She said, she was talking and she was sitting upright and her body had a presence and then she collapsed in her core and her head went down and ahead of her heart and her voice changed and that's what I'm doing right now and now I'm going to go back into my where of my core. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where this like talking about dance on the radio can be difficult.
It can be very difficult. So thank you. I forgot about that. I forgot it was radio. Yeah. So I'm dancing all over the place, but no one can see me.
Well, and just this is a great place to remind folks that I will share this out on my YouTube channel, which is Embodiment Live Life More Fully. That's actually my professional YouTube channel. So that will be posted out there after this has been aired. And of course, you can always listen to these the audio for 2 weeks on the kopn.org website. So if for some reason you're just catching the end of this and you want to hear the beginning, you can also send me a note at kopn. No, sorry about. Send me a note at wiwv@kopn.org, and if you want a link to the video so you can watch this and see this, you can write me a note at that email address. So yeah, okay. So that's the piece that I see, like, that I see in dance, that it helps you know where you are,
Mm-hmm.
helps you notice how you are, how you're expressing yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like it would be I can't think of the word. It just zipped out of my head. It would be us glossing over if we weren't to say, so there's been a lot of damage to women throughout
Mm.
history, um, in the pursuit of dance,
Yes.
body image, eating disorders,
Mm-hmm.
and I was telling you that I felt like when I went to New York and trained, did my movement analysis training, like I was really struck by how that had changed in the community that I was a part of, that there was this push against this.
Mm-hmm.
So how have you seen that manifest in your lifetime? Like empowerment of women rather than subjugation, right? Through dance.
Yeah. Wow. Lots of memories of, yeah, and they're not all that great, because it's true. Girls are a dime a dozen a dancer. And if you don't do X, there you go, there's the door.
Mm,
And so that really leads you down a really difficult path.
mhm,
And that's one of the reasons why I left New York, is because I was not enjoying the person that I was becoming.
mm,
You give yourself parameters. I'm not ever going to do this. And then suddenly you do this, and then you do this. And then pretty soon you've created yourself a whole different person. And that comes because uh, you have no self-worth. You're dispensable. I mean, how horrible is that? To
because
to think
of
that,
because of what you're saying is like that because that's the way the profession often engages with dancers.
right. And depending,
Mhm,
in my background and in my experience, uh, that had a strong ballet background,
mhm,
and the technique is difficult. So you have to have a certain body type. Otherwise, you're not able to perform these tasks that are necessary safely or aesthetically as they are, but with that being said, that kind of bleeds over to all the rest of the dance world that I was in at the time. And then that creates the competition of, well, I'm too big. I can't, and people try to lose weight, and girls try to lose weight, and guys can try to lose weight, but since this is about the women, we'll focus on the women,
right.
although the men
Yep.
have struggles too.
Yes.
They have
Yes,
struggles
they
too,
do.
but the women were, anorexia,
Mhm,
um, dancers have said, I've hardly eaten. Well, eat nothing, and so you can be as small as possible. And that defies how your body was made. Everybody's body is so different. There's
right.
so people are just destroying their body in order to keep a job, and jobs are really hard.
Well, and
Now,
I hear that that's one of the challenges in having a profession and an art form in which your body is the palette,
yes, absolutely.
right? Because I'm hearing, I mean, this what you're describing is can happen in any job. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you try to form and change yourself so that you please the people that, because you want to keep a job. But the
Right.
difference here is we're talking about it's not just, you know, something you're producing outside of yourself. I mean, it's actually so it
You.
feels like that there's what you're saying is that it's this dynamic that the value is of dance education is empowerment and presence, self-awareness, body awareness,
Hmm.
and then if you can also be pushed to actually lose those, have to sacrifice those things to
Hmm.
produce an art form.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that is really difficult. And it's really disillusioning, I believe, because as you're training to do this and you have all of these ideas, um, I'm not, and it's, there are communities that are supportive. It's so different now. It's
Yeah,
so
that's what I was gonna say.
different.
Do you think that's
It's just
changed?
great.
I mean, I just feel like when I talk to young women uh, who are taking dance, that they're getting more of the girls rock kind of piece
Yeah.
of dance,
Yeah.
and less of the like change yourself to fit this form, which I
Right.
mean I remember experiencing when I took dance classes in college.
Sure.
Um, so do you think that's changing overall within
I
the dance community more?
um Yeah, I think so. I really believe there is. And it's um I don't ever mention weight when I'm teaching. I use weight in a physics type of sense, like be
Mm-hmm.
weighted
Yes.
in the movement and
Mm-hmm.
be, but I
Sense of
don't
weight.
ever a sense of weight. And especially with the children that I have, they're in the process of prepubescence, puberty. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're
Right.
all over the place with their body, and they are in leotards and tights,
Mm-hmm.
so that is nothing that I say, and just go lifting those long, lovely legs. You look at that beautiful arm, so that they are now training themselves to notice that their body is beautiful. And not in a vanity way. It's created beautifully. So why don't you express it and respect it beautifully?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do believe it's changing because there's a lot of new dance companies um, that people have created in how they have fused all of their knowledge and all of their dance education and experiences to what is works on their body. And there are
Mm-hmm.
bodies that are all different shapes and sizes and colors and beauty, and you just sit there and go amazed at how much it really is now focusing on of this intent and in the story. And even in and the ballet world is so beautiful too in their intent and in their you can see the purity of all of these different art forms, Indian dancing, Kathak dancing, jazz. There's everybody has tap, everybody has something to say, and it's just great when they are able to get into their body, respect it, what they have, and respect the mode into which they can express themselves. And that's when real artistry begins, no matter the spectrum of where you're at physically, age wise, too. Age is a big deal. There's a lot of older women who are dancing still. And I'm like,
Oh,
that's
I
amazing.
so 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 I tell you, so I was just down in southern Missouri at a retreat, and my spiritual mother is 78 years old,
Mhm.
dancing, singing, right? She's still fully active. And I got up one morning and I was meditating, and she came out, and I looked over and she was doing a headstand, and she stayed in that headstand for, I'm gonna say, 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Just beautiful. Oh my God, presence and ease. And then she just came right out of it. And I was just like, that's an inspiration. That's an
Yes,
inspiration. But she's
truly.
never, stopped dancing. She's never stopped. Sacred dance is, is her thing. She's never stopped singing and chanting and exploring yoga and, so
Wonderful.
I was like, okay, that's me 20 years from now. So I better start today.
Right,
And
exactly.
when COVID started, I had a very serious yoga practice that involved the headstand. And then sort of I've lost it. And so it was an inspiration to reconnect. Right?
Yes.
Because what I
I,
loved about seeing her is that even though she had moved into the posture, right, it wasn't static. She wasn't holding. I mean, there was this breath and this flow. And to me, that's, the dancing and stillness. Like, oh, I
yeah.
just love that.
Yeah.
So you did it again. You made a really nice segue there. And so folks, if you're just tuning in, I am talking with Lisa Gegor, who is a friend of mine, who is a dance teacher here in town, and who is the head of the Missouri Dance Organization, the president. And the Missouri Dance Organization is in the process of creating um, the first conference in a few years.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So this is the first post-COVID conference. It will be um, based right here in Columbia, Missouri, at Missouri Contemporary Ballet Studios. And
Hmm.
that's happening on the weekend of June 24th and 25th.
And 26th.
26th. Okay. That's
Hmm.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes.
And so how does what Missouri Dance Organization like? Okay, so first of all, I have to say the title of the conference is Bridging the Gap,
Yes.
and that made me really excited.
Oh,
Right?
good. Why
Well,
was that?
it made me excited because when you and I first talked, and I was like, I don't really know if I belong in this organization because I'm a somatic movement educator. I don't teach dance, right? I don't, it's all about movement and body awareness and health. And you were like, yes, you're part of the Missouri Dance Organization. I said, how is that possible? And you said, because, right? It's about this. It's this larger community, right?
Mhm.
And when I saw the title, I was like, that's bridging the gap. It felt like, oh, okay, yeah, it connects, it reaches out to me, right?
Mhm.
It's the dance uh, community. And when I looked at some of the different presenters, it's like, okay, it's about right reaching out and this web you talked about at the beginning of this
Mhm.
interview, really expanding the definition in people's minds of what dance means.
Yes.
That's what I took.
Yes.
So now you can tell me if that was what you meant by the title.
Absolutely. I have nothing else left to say. You did a
Oh,
great job. You did a good plug for that conference. Thank you.
yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about like the diversity of what's going to be offered in those
Yes.
days, right?
Yes. So there is a lot of thought that goes into these conferences, as all conferences do, right? And there has been bridging the gap is very serious for us because we're trying to get our younger generation of dancers to understand what a dance career looks like. And
Mm-hmm.
how can you have them understand what a dance career looks like if it's not in front of them? In a living, when you go to sports, you've got little league, and then you got college ball, and then you've got minor leagues, and then you've got the major leagues, and it is all set before them on a platter of what a career in baseball
Mm-hmm.
looks like. And from that, they can choose anything, and then subset anything that supports those other ball players that are on the
Mm-hmm.
field. And dance is just the same way. And sometimes our young generation maybe doesn't understand. I'm not sure it doesn't understand. I'm struggling for the right word, but for the sake of argument,
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't understand their value in
Mm.
a as a dancer in a community. And I'm not using the small narrow version of dancer. I'm talking about their soul encompassing dance
Mm-hmm.
spirit and what
Right.
they can provide to the support of the dance community. And in supporting the dance community, they're supporting so many other people, dance educators in schools, dance medicine, physical therapy, nutritionists, things like that. So we're trying to bridge the gap to help the dancers, a young future, know what their path is in the dance community. We're also supporting the professionals who are already in the community, and how can they continue to expand their heart, their spirit, their soul, their journey. And then we also have the teachers, the professionals in studio settings, colleges. How do we help give them the inspiration and the connections and the opportunity to share? And then you go on to the retirees who have this wealth of knowledge throughout their years, and how they can share it and how they continue to share it. And that's just the age. And then you have demographics, and you have rural to urban, and like Mexico to WashU to New York. I mean, so there's a lot of gaps. And so there's to bridge. And so we have sessions on diversity of dance. We have sessions on Indian dancing, tap dancing, the cumbia, salsa in its original format. And then we have, the ballet, and we have tap, and we have jazz and modern, which fuses some of the European-based ballet techniques. And that is fused into modern, which is then fused into how people interpret it on their own body, which then becomes contemporary dance. And then even combined with that, fused into how you move and how you've created your own repertoire and your own language. You have classes.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm not even done yet.
Yeah, that's I'm excited to be part of that web of,
Yes.
offering,
and what you're doing with
training.
Yeah, and with what you're doing with the Laban and Bartenia foundations is just crucial, and I'm excited because those are some of the classes that I never got to take, so you just start to expand with your different minds. We have performances. We have performances on Friday and Saturday night. So we have professional companies from Kansas City and St. Louis and Columbia. Missouri Contemporary Ballet is performing. Owen Cox from Kansas City, Ballet 314 from St. Louis, MADCO from St. Louis. We have, and I'm missing, so forgive me when I miss you, but we have colleges from Missouri, Missouri Valley, Missouri Valley College in Marshall, Missouri has a dance department. They're going to perform. UMKC is going to perform. Their students are going to perform. Shapes Dance and Acro, they're going to bring their students to perform. We've got some independent dancers who are going to perform as well. So even the representative Bishop Davidson, I've met him while I was doing dance advocacy at the Capitol, and he does English line dancing like you see in Pride and Prejudice. And so he is going to do a demonstration on Friday night, and where all the dance participant and all the audience members are going to actually be able to participate, and they will get up and they will dance.
Well, so
it's beautiful.
I wanted to ask you, so if a listener is somebody who maybe, hasn't taken a class in a long time, maybe they took tap. I have clients who say, oh, I loved doing it, and then I became an adult and I stopped doing it.
Yes.
Would someone like that be comfortable coming to, like I asked you about the tap workshop? I haven't tap danced since I was like 13. I do own a pair of shoes.
I love it.
But I took one of the city classes for a short period of time, but truly I haven't. Would a person of that level be comfortable coming and observing and taking part in a class, like at whatever level they are, even though there might be a 7-year-old there who's way more talented and skilled, right? Is that
yes, absolutely. They are more than welcome to join us, and it's just nice to be able to be in that community again. And yeah, could it be terrifying? Yeah, it's terrifying for me when I go into a class, but will be fun? Oh, absolutely. Will you be glad that you did it? Absolutely. And you'll be able to get to, reconnect your body to what it feels like to move. And then it might inspire you to continue to do something more, and include that. And that's just part of your holistic approach to what dance can do for the heart and body. So
So
yeah.
the two questions I have to ask as we wrap up is one, what is the COVID protocols? Can people mask? Are people masking? Like, how are you handling that within the conference?
Right. So the conference, our COVID protocols are proof of vaccination or a negative test, and masks are optional. If you would like to wear them, you can. If you don't, you don't have to.
Okay.
And I must say that I am glad that we don't have masks protocol, because teaching with a mask on was absolutely the most horrible experience ever, because I practically hyperventilated.
It's very, very difficult because breathing is such an important piece of moving integrated gracefully.
Yes, an expression on your
Yeah.
face. So I had all of my students after the end of a ballet combination, they would all have to bat their eyelashes so I could see that was them smiling.
That's wonderful. So
Really intimidating.
how does a person find out more about this conference if they're interested in educating themselves? What is the website?
Okay, yes, absolutely. It is MissouriDance.org. And that's again,
Missouri
Missouri
spelled out?
Dance. Missouri is spelled out, and it's, doesn't matter. It's all lowercase, but it's MissouriDance.org, and you will find information there. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me at admin@MissouriDance.org. So, and that information is also on the website. And I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to see you see as many people there at the performances. It'll be fantastic.
Lisa, thank you so much for sharing your
Ah,
wisdom, your history, your insight, your enthusiasm.
oh,
Yeah, thank you so much.
well, thank you. You are wonderful. I was terrified to speak, as dancers usually are. So
And you did wonderful. Thank you, listeners, and stay tuned for Jazz plus Blues equals Soul. Thank you so much.